Good morning, Ina, and welcome to the Carb Paleo show.
Good morning. Good to be here.
It's our pleasure. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning. I'm wonderful, thank you, as usual.
As usual. And I hope, Ina, you're doing well.
Very well. Yeah. There was a lot of snow last week, but we're doing okay here.
Yeah, as long as you don't catch this bug going around,
oh yeah,
we'll be fine, yeah. I notice it's not just, it's big in Texas right now, this flu, whatever it is. And also in France, I was there last week, and all the women in my family were all sick. The guys not, but all the women were sick, so I don't know what's going on. So back to you. You are a pioneer in clinical pharmacist and specializing in functional medicine, which we'll talk about later, and complementary Crohn's and colitis options in natural hormone balancing. So this is a big subject. What interests me the most in your passion about women's and digestive health is your use of functional medicine. So to get people to know you, can you give us your path until now? Your professional path.
Sure, absolutely, would love to. I was diagnosed with Crohn's in my 30s, like most people who are diagnosed with Crohn's. And that kind of changed my path. I was a traditional pharmacist. In my early 20s, I was thrilled to be a pharmacist. That's something I always wanted to do, help people and be in healthcare. And just traditional medicine, unfortunately, kind of failed me. And I also found that there are not that many resources for Crohn's, colitis, not that many good quality resources and articles, especially when I was diagnosed 2003. Information on the web, there was just not enough to improve the symptoms, the fatigue, the runs, the unfortunate the pain, the fevers. People with this diagnosis, they have now they have a lot of information to turn into. How much credibility of that, and how much how could you trust all that information is the big question. So I started my own research 2003, and with kind of help of my husband, who I believed that he made me feel that I will find it. Yeah, I felt so empowered, and that's what I wanted to do since then. Since I went through my journey to heal, I felt that I could empower also others, and it was like natural step when I learned functional medicine for my own healing. And went through the program. I started helping relatives. I started helping neighbors. I started, people would start approaching me that knew friends of the friends or friends of the neighbors. And it came totally naturally that the next step would be my own practice. I don't think I even thought about opening up until people started really approaching me, and I wrote the website at that time about my journey with Crohn's, and people were looking for credible information. They were looking for probably someone who could, I was lucky also that I can interpret the study. I'm able, with my training as a pharmacist, we're very, pharmacists are very, we question everything. We're really super detailed and analysis based. You can't just tell me that something works. Tell me how, and tell me what factual basis you have for the statement. And I will dig and dig. And often I would find out that it really doesn't look like it works. Maybe the placebo effect, and maybe you sort of believe it worked, and it maybe worked for you, but really, if you look into the data, sometimes it doesn't. So I my journey took me to open up the practice, and I've been helping a lot of Crohn's patients since then, and other patients with digestive diseases, with women's health, and I do love see the results, and that was my path.
Okay, that sounds great. So just to, if people picked up on your accent, you are from Ukraine originally.
Yes.
Same way as I'm French and Mark is British, so it's an interesting connection here.
Beautiful mix.
Yes. And you are currently working on a book, My Journey with Crohn's Disease. What can you tell us about your book?
Yeah, the book was the next step in the process. I recently got my doctorate degree, and all this knowledge as a doctor of pharmacy now, as a Crohn's patient in full remission. I thought I'd finally, because it was kind of coming for years. I did wanted to write it. I did wanted to share with the people that kind of get stuck, that do have those symptoms and can't get better. And I thought that maybe I wasn't ready at that certain point. Maybe I don't have enough information. Maybe I do need to finish to be a doctor of pharmacy in my case, to have that credibility for people to understand that it's not just another book of someone who went through and sharing their journey. I'm able to also interpret many things in a more scientific way, and more way that I could dig into the details and understand whether this is credible or not. So the book, I use my own journey. I share the details, what helped me to go into the full remission. I am able to pinpoint some things in there that are kind of mistakes to make, as you know. So sometimes when you've been there, you want to other people not to make your mistakes. And it was a really it was tough. It was tough to be a young mother in early 30s. I call it young. I was in my early 30s. I had two very, very young kids who needed their mother to be strong and there for them. And here I was with tiny little infant, a second kid and I was in ICU over and over. And in this book, I kind of poured, and I'm still finishing it up. It's coming out soon. I poured all of those emotions and what I went through, and the actual steps, and the who I saw for help, along with my current program. That it took me years and years, and that maybe is the best part about the book. That it took me that long to finally write it, because now I'm able to put all these details of my own journey, of what helped, of the case studies that I have now, with many case studies of Crohn's and colitis and other digestive illness patients that I've seen. And I'm able to put it all together and to make that the big decision, what really is the best kind of approach. So, and it's all in the case studies are also, I'm going to include many good case studies to look into in the book. So it will help. The book will help you to become your own kind of patient advocate. To be able to get the first steps to your own self-management approach to the Crohn's, colitis, or other digestive illness you have. I believe it's super important. It's extremely important to find a good doctor, and the doctor that you are able to say, if that's something that you're looking for. Again, I've seen plenty of patients that just want to go with the traditional way, and you can change their mind, and go ahead, beautiful. And they'll probably be able to get more benefit of the traditional approach than someone who's doubting it now. To the patient, to the client that is now it wants more, haven't seen much of the result. They're already doubting traditional system, and it failed them maybe as well, just like it failed me. They need to be able to have that first step where they get that self-management. They're involved. I believe that it's really important to make yourself in the center of your healing, and then everyone else who you choose in your practitioner group, whether you want to have a group of a doctor, acupuncture practitioner, massage therapist, chiropractor, they're around you, they're helping you. You're in the middle. And the way it is right now, I think it's, if you're going for doctor's appointments, you like the next thing, the next number, you don't have enough time to spend with the doctor, it's a couple of minutes, you don't feel to be in the center.
Right.
So
right.
I believe that reading that book will also make you understand that you should be in the center, and you now choosing what your group of practitioners should be, and the doctor should be there for you. Understanding,
right.
We're not changing the concept of a doctor, and in no way, shape, or form I want to say that. Because the doctor is the alpha. The doctor is the prescriber. The doctor will be making the decisions about your health based on the science facts, and based on analysis that been there for years. And it's great. Medicine is wonderful. We are really progressing.
Right, but doctors should listen to you too, exactly. And should listen to the customer and not act like God, which a lot of doctors do.
Right. That is something that the doctors will probably be working on in the next decade. I really believe, I've seen some that are really jumping with the functional medicine now, that wagon, and it's super great. I think I've met plenty of doctors now that have been practicing, and they're thrilled to change. They're thrilled when they actually done it, and they transferred their practice. They say, oh my God, I do have the time to listen, and there could be a possible root cause that so many doctors before have missed. Yes. No one had a chance to listen to the entire history. And
right. The thing is, typical Western medicine focus on symptoms, not on the whole person. Doesn't take the time to listen, and typically assume that you, the customer, don't know what you're talking about, don't know how you feel, and they'll decide for you instead of working with you on such issues. Yes. So, are you healed from it, or are you in remission? How do you describe that?
I'm in full remission, and it's been years. And the first year that I was in full remission, I was almost afraid to say I'm in full remission. Honestly, it was like, oh my God, I don't want to jinx it.
Right.
And I was when I was approached and asked, "Are you completely okay?" I was just saying, "I'm okay. I'm okay." And then as it continued, and I'm still taking supplements, I'm still supporting my system, I'm still working with the functional diagnostic, because there's a lot of stress. I just went through 3 years of doctor program, obviously sleepless nights, and the kids, I have, my youngest one is only 5. Right. So you understand that we can't remove the stress from your life.
It's admirable that you managed to get a doctorate with 2 kids. like this. So
three now.
yeah, 3 now.
3
Okay.
boys.
So, I couldn't do it. I mean, it's hard enough for me to get my bachelor's degree, so I can't imagine how difficult it is to get a doctorate with the family and also practice. I mean, you were working, right, at the same time.
Yes,
so,
and I'm still working as a geriatric pharmacist, very much part-time, but I do have a great support system. My family is amazing. My parents, my husband, my boys are very independent. I've raised them to be very independent, so I'm very blessed.
Good for you. So what diet are you currently on?
Okay, that's the perfect question for the perfect show. Yes, I am mostly low carb paleo, and I do stay on this diet most of the time throughout the year with breaks. I do take occasional breaks for the detox when you have the change of the seasons, when we go into the spring, when you go sometimes into the fall, especially in the 4-season climate. It really does depend on where you live. Like in Texas, where you are, I would probably do detox maybe once a year. The big one here, we need to, it's about where you live. It's about where your parents and grandparents were raised and what they ate. It's a lot of little details when you are choosing the right diet for you, especially if you have predisposition to digestive problems. So I do stay with the low carb paleo. I love it. It gives you the most energy, obviously, and it feeds on the good bacteria when you eat such way, and it does promote gut healing. It does help you build the right amino acids to have the strength of the intestinal lining. So the occasional dietary break, I call it, when I go into the detox part, I do change to smoothies, soups that are mostly semi-vegetarian. So to give a little break to the stomach lining, to the intestines, and to the liver, and to the entire detox process. So I do the soups that tons of different color vegetables, and lots and lots and lots of greens, because the low carb part, when you're eating sweet potato 3 times a day, you're already really high on sugar. So lots of greens, green soups and green salads. If it's a spring detox, if it's more of a going into fall, then you'll have the soups. And I do add bone broth. That's why I call it semi-vegetarian. Because it's not all vegetarian. And when I'm asked about vegetarian completely diet, I'm very careful. I've seen patients that come in after being vegetarian for 5-10 years, and they're super malnutrition, and there's a lack of, when we do their micronutrient testing, it's a mess, and adrenal, because the blood sugar is not stable. For who it works for some, I can't say that I'm not going to take a client who's vegetarian for their beliefs, but sometimes it does take more work with that kind of client.
Well, I come back from France, where I basically ate my way through the holidays, and in France there's no telling my family, oh, I'm on a diet. They will just look at you either strangely, or they will get upset, because they don't understand concept of controlling your nutrition there. So I am currently going through detox. I am I'm eating a lot of green soups, green salads, bone broth, light, liquid, and I'm trying to clean my system from all that sugar and all those chocolate truffles and cakes and cookies and all that typically people eat during the holidays. So I'm doing my own detox now. It's interesting to watch, because my body wants it. It wants to detox. My body knows that this is what I went through the past 3 weeks in France is not normal. So I need to go back to my regular routine. And finally, after a week, I'm starting to feel better about you know, how my body functions. So back to you, keeping in mind that everyone is different, of course, what have you found that exacerbate or inflame your Crohn's disease? What kind of foods, what kind of drinks will make it worse?
It must be in combination. Besides the common ones that I always say that you have to stop right away when you come to me and you're my client now, I would really want you to stop three things, three big things: the gluten, the dairy, and the soy. And when you get rid of the soy, with that comes tons of processed. So it's a tricky one, the soy. It's not just the fact that it's a soy, it's the fact that now you're going to get rid of a lot of processed foods, the packaged foods, and all these. If you start reading the ingredients, soybean oil or soy protein, and a lot of that soy is a GMO.
Right. Yes.
So we come to, so getting rid of those three small things with the secret ingredient, you really start getting yourself into the healing diet. And the healing diet that mostly should be the map of it should be low carb paleo. So getting rid of gluten is tricky also, because especially for those that you know, don't want to work hard for their own gut.
Yeah.
They will say, I tried, it's been 2 weeks, or it's been a whole week, and I'm not seeing results, so that's done.
Right.
No, gluten takes, that's a whole, like, if we had to talk about gluten, I'd probably talk for 2 hours or 3 or longer. The way gluten is affecting the gut is it depends on each individual, like you said, and it also could be for those that are just intolerant to it, and we're not talking about celiac, where it's a true almost like an allergy. We're talking about an intolerance that's not even going to show up when you go to the gastroenterologist and they do a celiac panel. They'll tell you, oh, you're okay with gluten, you could eat it. Oh, great, wonderful. Ina said that I shouldn't be eating gluten. Here we go, Ina. Dr. Ina now. So the gluten affects the intestinal intestinal lining, almost like a little, if you imagine the sandpaper, and inside of our gut, inside of our intestine, there are small villi.
Yes.
They absorb the nutrients. They help you stay energetic, strong, and have the mitochondria function and for you. And if you having some kind of sensitivity, not even major full-blown intolerance, slowly but surely those villi are almost rubbed off from the inflammation, like the sandpaper, to the point where the intestinal lining becomes thinner and thinner and thinner, and we now are in a leaky gut syndrome, and that becomes even more longer to heal. So even if you have no symptoms, I say that's worse. That when you have a true allergy, celiac patients are luckier, even though that's a major condition. They almost have that allergy like the strawberry. You can't breathe, you're not going to touch the strawberry. You are not going to eat nuts if you're allergic to nuts. You can't breathe, it's life-threatening. Gluten, you don't feel it most of the time. It's a slow, chronic inflammation that will get you. It will get you, but you don't feel it until it's...
Well, the question I have is, we're not born gluten intolerant or allergic, so there has to be a condition that creates that environment for the gluten to affect you. That is, for example, if you were born from a C-section, you didn't have the biodome and the healthy bacteria is helping and protecting you. If you were fed the formula instead of breast milk, you have that issue. So you start babies start with a weak immune system or a weak gut environment, and that is not capable of defending itself from things like gluten and dairy and so on. So it's personally, I feel like we should be a little more nuanced, as not accusing gluten for everything. Just keep in mind that the intestine, the gut itself, was probably already in a bad condition, and then gluten makes it worse, dairy makes it worse, and so on and so forth. I've worked with ADD children and autistic children, and I noticed very clearly that taking dairy and gluten helps them tremendously, but the condition was already there before. So it's I think we need to be a little more cautious as to putting all the blame on these ingredients, and be understanding that the reason all of this, we are sensitive to that, is because our gut is not healthy to start with.
I absolutely agree with you. And the gut is not healthy, and those are multiple factors that are causing it. It's not one thing. And I agree that the mothers that give birth to kids with no microbiome, and there is now an interesting practice, very rare, but you could find a doctor that does this. When the baby is born with the C-section, they take a sterile, like a gauze, and from the mother's area, and they wipe the baby's mouth when the moment it's born, so it's kind of recolonize the flora. Otherwise, my two boys, my second one and my third, were born via C-section, unfortunately, because my intestinal inflammation was not letting me do the right thing. I guess my body, plus, if I knew what I knew then, it would have been a different case. But anyhow, they had to be given probiotics from very, very young age. And I'm glad there are probiotics now on the market.
Right. That's and like you mentioned earlier, most formula for babies is from soy, and most soy is genetically engineered. So now you're adding a toxic into the baby's body, and whose immune system is already not strong to start with.
Yeah, I know, and we are here to be helping those that are looking for change, and hopefully change the system.
Yes, absolutely. So going back to that, in your opinion, how important are probiotics to gut health?
Yes, that's the topic. Not even for 2 hours. I could talk about this probably for days. Besides the fact that my paper for the doctorate degree I picked it for the clinical effectiveness of probiotics on Crohn's and colitis. I was when I chose the topic, obviously it's close to my heart, and it's something I'm researching for so many years. I was not 100% sure they will let me do it in school, because it's a pharmacy school. It's medications, but they accepted with no questions. There's a lot of research now with probiotics. I was very happy. And the biggest problem with probiotics for Crohn's, colitis, IBDs, any digestive diseases is that there's not enough good quality studies. It's hard to find those randomized controlled trials that compare placebo to the effect of the probiotic. Yeah. And probiotics with their research are at I would call it ground zero. We are at like such a dark still times with probiotics. There are millions, billions of bacteria in our gut, in our microbiome, everywhere, and a lot of strains that are still not in the probiotic blends. For example, I'll just one of the trials that was in my paper out of the 4, something called F-Pranzisi. It's normal commensal, one of the commensal bacteria in our gut that's present in most of our guts, in all of our guts. For Crohn's patients, we happen to have a low number of that bacteria. And I've tested my microbiome with ubiome, and it came out to be low, and I wasn't surprised because my diagnosis. And that probiotic, for example, if you try to repopulate the body with that probiotic, possibly good effects would come out. No human trials. It was tried on mice. So we have a long way. We really do, with probiotics, to get there, to truly compare apples to apples. And I really, I've seen statements from like really big names in the industry that recently, one of them, I'm not mentioning names, but he's huge on vegetarian diet and really
on this show you can name names.
Anyways, he said that probiotics are no longer safe because there's one study that said that in really sick patients with pancreatitis, when they tried the probiotics for them, there's a large number that passed. Those patients that were passing number one anyway, they were really at the point they gave them the probiotics when they were going. When you say probiotics didn't work, you're saying such a general term. Which probiotics? What strain? There are strains of probiotics that are irritating to the gut lining, and we already know that a lot of probiotics and the cheaper brands, for example, have Estermophilus, and that's an ingredient that often causes irritation, especially for those with irritable bowel syndrome, IBD or IBD, inflammatory bowel disease.
Right.
I always stay away from that ingredient when we recommend probiotics. Also, there are soil-based microspores. There's bifidoblands, and I, like I say, we're only at the point of ground zero. I believe that we're really going to be smart about probiotics in the future. There's even fecal transplants, as gross as it sounds, and it's tried now on Crohn's patients. They take a good bacteria from the healthy gut, and they transplant it in a different ways through nasogastric tube. They put it in the freezer, and so it doesn't smell. So yes, and it works.
You don't have to eat it, right?
So probiotics are really, I believe in a big future of probiotics. There's a lot of information that's being researched. Like, for example, one of the recent studies that just came out in November, Medical School of Pennsylvania, they found that E. coli bacteria, where you, for example, get a food poisoning, but it's normally present in our gut, and we want to have some E. coli in our body. If we completely depleted of it, we will have a problem. So they used also mice, not humans yet, and they replenished that E. coli bacteria, and as a result, it caused a lower amount of enzyme called urase, and that helped with symptoms, helped with inflammation, not symptoms, inflammation. So again, they're now using that to explore more and to research more, and it's a great way. And there are many others. And like I said, the F-Pranzisi, if they make that into probiotic and make it in a way that you're able to take it and it gets through your gut, through your upper stomach, doesn't get destroyed by the gastric gas, the gastric acid, and then it actually gets where it has to go into the intestine. So that would be amazing. And with the questions with probiotics, I get often, for example, patients ask me, why is this probiotic more expensive, having the same billion of bacteria versus this one in a less expensive brand or less expensive drugstore? Why is that? Most of the time, the price difference is in the way these probiotics are manufactured. They're protected. They're the microspores or certain caps protecting the acid, hydrochloric acid in the upper stomach to destroy it. So if you are taking the 15 billion of an expensive probiotic, they almost guarantee you get that probiotic into the gut lining, which is what you want in the end. You want to recolonize your flora. You want to recolonize it with the good bacteria that will, and you afterwards, the key, another key that's important to mention is the diet. If you're feeding with the right food, the good bacteria will start growing more, and you colonize your entire lining with the good bacteria. If you're eating the wrong foods, that probiotic won't, have the same effect.
Yeah, we need to tell people to eat more prebiotic foods, and that will feed the probiotics. There's no point. A lot of people think, and they're still very much in this country. They think they can pop any pills, whether it's probiotics or anything, and continue to eat the same crap, and they're going to get better. No, you need to have the food to go with the whatever supplements you take to complement each other, to support each other, and not think that, oh, I'll take probiotics so I can go get a McDonald's hamburger, and destroy all the benefits of that. So we need to focus, we need to remind people that it's not enough to take a ton of supplements and not paying attention to your diet. You need to have both working together.
I agree there.
Okay, so moving along, let's talk about your website. Your website is Real Health Solution, which is all about functional medicine. For our customers or listeners that do not know what functional medicine, can you explain what it is?
Absolutely. Functional medicine, comparing to the traditional, the biggest difference is where we invest our time into changing your lifestyle habits and looking for the root causes. Root causes could be anywhere from gut bacteria, environmental issues, in your water being polluted, and your previous exposure to probably radiation. Like in my case, I was 12 years old when Chernobyl happens in Ukraine. And it could be the fluoride toxicity, mercury toxicity, hormone issues, adrenals. We find that root cause that possibly triggered, because we could be predisposed to diseases and never know it and never have it if there was no trigger. So versus patching the system the way the traditional medicine works with the prescription in your hand, and this is all that can be offered, we are looking into the true root causes, or multifactorial things, and looking into them and taking care of them often gets rid of the problem altogether, or at least we put you in remission, or we help you heal the true way, the real way we can right now. So I love functional medicine. It's from day one when I found the concept alone, it's where you're more proactive. You're there. You're in the middle of the healing. I thought it was great. So
yeah, you're not just a prescription machine. You're actually caring for your customers, for your clients. How's your private practice different from your job as a pharmacist?
Yeah, it's 180 degrees, completely different. Unfortunately, as a pharmacist, you don't have that much time to spend with the patient or client. You hardly have time to get out there and speak with them, even if they have like an over-the-counter question. You almost wished you had all this time to sit down with them. They're asking you, I think I need B vitamin, and I'm lacking energy, and I'm like, I wish I could sit down with you for an hour to figure things out. So here in my practice, I will spend a lot of time with you. The very first appointment is at least an hour and a half. I get you, I find out your whole history, and health history really can open eyes to things that no one really stopped you and hold on, what happened? Oh my God, this what probably triggered the entire thing. Let's go back there and try to fix it. So spending time is that big difference, huge difference that makes a difference for the client too. And it gives me more satisfaction, obviously. I'm thrilled that now I'm able to help better. And it's different that there's a great way of that functional diagnostic analysis-based answer. I don't just, I would hate to just hand you a bottle of a vitamin if you say, I want to have a B vitamin, I have no energy. Hold on, let me do an organic acid testing, O testing, and see what could have been. Maybe there's a mitochondria issue, or maybe something toxicity related, and we'll figure this out, and then I would be able to recommend something much better. So it's more of a, you asked me a question, let me get you an analysis-based answer. And, right. And me as a scientist in my heart and in my profession, I can't do it any other way.
Right,
it's a great thing. It's wonderful, and it's also we're growing in functional medicine. I believe it's exploding.
Yeah, people are realizing that Western medicine, as it is done now, is not always working. So they're looking for different answers. What services do you offer your clients?
Yeah. I offer a few services right now. The hormone balancing with, again, analysis-based. I do see Crohn's patients, colitis, IBD, IBS, and we have a whole program. I just created the program. I'm rolling it out this year, because it used to be me by appointment. Now I'll have those intense programs, which I think will work absolutely amazing, especially for those that are in flare right now, that really need the help right now. And I'm going into the beta trial period in March. So those that want to try to get in with the obviously price decrease, they can do that in March with me. And I also help with a detox. Those that already seen a couple of holistic practitioners and they're just interested in the smart detox programs, that those are available for clients, like something like a quick fix. Again, we also have like a holistic services in the office, but I mostly concentrate on functional medicine.
Right. So I understand you are, or you were, a geriatric pharmacist. Yes. How is it different to work with older patients than regular? Regular.
I love
customers.
my geriatric patients, because when they already get to my office, they've been around. They have been to so many doctors and to so many appointments, and they know more than any other client what they're really looking for. And if they're already here in the chair in my office and ready to spend the time and the finances to heal, they want the results. And this, when I tell them this is to be done and that is to be done, it's done. I've accomplished. I have put a check mark here. So like recently I had a 78-year-old client who, I believe she looks in her like she's not even 60. I love that woman. And she came in with a lot of gut problems, so many issues, originally due to stress and like environmental issues, and there was flood. She was a digestive mess. It was a lengthy healing. It was months of healing, because we had to test her, we had to go through the steps, but she's almost 100%. She's she looks, she feels, she could not believe it. So yeah, I love my geriatrics. They listen and they're compliant when they're already getting to me. It's the most perfect client.
Right. Well, hopefully I'm not there yet, but I'll make sure to call you when I get in my late 70s if I need help. Yes.
No, you're not there for sure.
So I understand you have an event coming up, Solutions for Digestive Problems. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I want to share more details on the program, and to empower the client to help them figure out that there is an option of such option of self-management on their own, and I want to share those the steps and then stepwise approach. And now it would be a more or less short PowerPoint that I'll present during that. It will be on Zoom, and it would be a talk. I'll get a chance for the callers to get involved and ask their quick questions. And I hope it to be interactive at about half point of that presentation. And I hope it will be interesting for your viewers too. I'll share the details.
I'm sure it'll be. So what would you consider the three biggest mistakes that people make when they have digestive disease?
Yes, back to that number one biggest mistake is when they just, I've tried that, it didn't work. And how long have you tried it? A week or two. That's a really, really huge mistake. If it took you that long to get sick and you didn't know it, and it took you that long to have your intestinal lining to the point that it's like literally there's holes in there. So you have to understand that it's not going to be an overnight process to give that chance to the healing diet. So I would say the biggest mistake, number one, is to not giving enough chance to the healing diet and the changes in lifestyle and the changes with probably toxicity in your home and all these changes you got to do to heal. I would say number two, we call it doctor hopping. So again, it didn't work, so let me try another doctor and another doctor and another, and it's if you don't try something long enough, you're bound to it's like you want to hope that the next one will help, but often it's within you. And going to number three biggest mistake is not to give yourself that mindset. I believe that mindset is extremely important in any healing, not just gut healing. When you have any condition, if you tell yourself, I'm not getting well, I'm not going to be okay, you're not going to be okay. And I believe that if you're going with the mindset, I want to heal and I'm going to try this program the entire way, I'm going to give it a full chance, you have so much better chance to heal.
Right, and your job is to be a coach and a cheerleader to help them continue instead of being the bossy type of doctors.
Right. I mean, I could get bossy if you're not listening, but I'm just your guide in this process. Yes, guide is the key word for the process, and bossy not most of the time not, but sometimes I can.
Well, there's that mommy thing. With 3 kids, you start. Hopefully, you don't have to treat your patients like your kids, right?
Not at all.
Okay, Mark.
Well, actually, I mean, Ina has given us such a thorough rundown of what she does and the gut problems. I'm not going to ask any more questions.
No? Oh, I can't believe I covered everything.
We covered the entire...
Just one quick question. I mean, how can people get hold of you? Okay,
so I do want to say that I've had so much fun with you guys. Thank you. And I would hope and I would like the viewers to grab a copy of my book when it comes out. It's not going to come out to be pre-sold until March, but if they want to send me an email, and the specific email for the book would be gutpharmacist@gmail.com. And if they send me that they've seen your show, I will send them a copy of the book when it's on pre-sale, when it's released right away. So that would be
Can I get one?
Yes,
can I get one too?
Yes.
I'll trade your book against versus one of mine, and you have 7 to choose from.
Oh, I know, you're amazing. So that would be a great way for me to say thank you to your viewers.
Sure. Thank you for that. And so can you tell us again the title of your book, your website, contact information?
Yes, the contact information I just said, you could, your viewers can contact me through gotpharmacist@gmail.com or through my website, realhealthsolutionsllc.com. The phone number there is 732-414-6223. I also, the title of the book, I'm not going to say yet because the book is not on pre-sale yet. So I'm keeping that kind of the secret.
But you do have a website that is focused on the book only, right?
I do have a website called Journey with Crohn's Disease with the dashes in between. I'm rebranding both.
Okay.
So if you follow me, I have a Facebook, I have an Instagram account, I have it all through the Real Health Solutions LLC. I'm rebranding. I might be making it into one big Gut Pharmacist brand. We'll see. I think that's next. But for me, and Journey with Crohn's Disease has a lot of Crohn's information. And again, I'm working on changes because during doctorate program, didn't have that much time to work on it. But it's all coming. It's all coming.
Good, good. Then after it comes out, maybe we'll have you again.
Thank you. I would love that.
Talk some more.
Indeed.
Sounds great.
So thank you again, Ina, for being on the Low Carb Paleo Show. And as we say in Texas, à votre santé, y'all.